Skilled Creative with Desiree, the brand maverick.
Before we get into it, I just wanted to thank you for following me into this tilted rabbit hole where we learn about the entrepreneur journey and all the magnificent and terrifying things that come with it. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to increase your brand exposure, network internationally, and gain insights, then follow the breadcrumbs in the show notes to my website where you can find everything you need to start your business, grow your brand, and accelerate your income today. I even have a live show every Monday that you can attend. It's free brand awareness and exposure, and you get to meet some really cool people on the show. It's such incredible value, and you don't have to pay a penny for it.
Now it's time. Let's jump straight into the rabbit hole.
My name is Paquen Makowane. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a tech company called Comlink Enterprises Limited. We are basically consultants in the fields of information and communication technology, financial technology, Internet of Things, blockchain, artificial intelligence. We are also media consultants. So basically, so we've done a lot. We do a lot of stuff. We do a lot of stuff, and we are basically taking advantage of like sort of the tech gap that exists between the developed world and Africa. But we have at very exciting times right now. Africa is really innovating. If you look at what's happening, especially in the area of financial technology, we are really revolutionizing payments. We are at the frontier of mobile money, mobile payments, micro insurance products. So there's so many exciting things that are happening on the African continent, especially when we adopt technology and leverage it. So I had the opportunity to be the pioneering staff for the IFC and Mitsubishi Finance funded project, the very first GSM digital mobile telephony service provider in Zambia. When it entered the market, it was called Zamcell.
Nice.
So yes, this was founded by Mo Ibrahim of the Mo Ibrahim Foundation. So he was the chairman and founder of the Celtel Group, of which this project was a part. So I basically was privileged to be part of the team that started the company here in Zambia. I first worked they employed me as an office sales executive. I never even did that work, not even for a week. I was elevated to the position of terminal equipment controller. So my job was to basically take care of all the terminal equipment for the marketing division. And then because we started very small, it was a really small outfit when we started. I think the objective was about 4,000 subscribers in like in a small period of I think in about a year or something. But I think we had 4,000 subscribers like in about 2-3 months. So, yes, that's how, because at that time this is how mobile telephony took off in Africa.
Just grew,
Exactly. Right now, I think 9 out of 10 Africans have a mobile phone. So we were at the frontiers of introducing the technology here in this market. Exactly.
That must have been so cool though, because if you're at the, I don't think anybody especially in first world countries has experienced progression on that rate, because especially for something like mobile phones, because I mean we've had mobile phones in the UK since the 90s, I think.
Yes.
I wasn't here, I was out in Trinidad, but I remember even when I was in high school, this would have been 2003, 2004, I had a phone. I had a mobile phone at that point.
Yeah.
And
I do remember getting myself a mobile phone when I was in London.
4 at that point.
Oh, wow.
When you got a mobile phone, I was 4 years old.
You see, when I look at all my children, they were all born long after the mobile phone was introduced, like say here in Zambia, where so it just shows it's been
Oh.
so interesting and a privilege actually to watch
Of course.
technology. When we were growing up, there was landlines,
Yes.
You
Do you remember rotary phones?
Exactly. Those are the ones.
We had a rotary phone. We had a rotary phone.
And then later on, they brought the push buttons, but still more, it was
and sometimes buttons used to get stuck.
Yes. So,
Wow.
yeah. So at least I had that type of background, having worked for Zamcell. And then, because it was a very small operation initially, it then started growing and the company was growing very fast. We were getting loads and loads of subscribers. So they had to create a separate marketing division. And I was privileged, again, to be the very first marketing guy. My boss, my director at that time, Mrs. Mungomba, she made me the marketing executive, the very first one. So our very first task was to rebrand, because it was called Zamcell. So we had to rebrand it to become Celtel. So
wow,
I was involved, in that rebranding exercise of rebranding the company from Zamcell to Celtel.
So when you did that rebrand, did you have any marketing or even brand experience at that point?
Before going, because I started working quite early when I was 18 years old. Immediately I finished school, I started working. I got a job at Zambia Airways Corporation, which was the national airline at that time. I was employed as a ticketing sales agent. So I worked at Zambia Airways for 2 years before going to the UK, you know what I mean? So I had some experience. My job at Zambia Airways gave me a lot of training, especially in the field of direct selling, customer care. So at least it helped me, because that was a huge responsibility to be a marketing executive for this growing mobile service provider. So at least I had that experience coming from, the sales background. And I used to work as a waiter when I was in the UK. So that also gave me a chance to, as I went to school, I was waiting on. So that also gave me experience. It teaches you to talk to people. It sharpens your people skills, so to speak.
Oh, yes, it definitely does. It also gives you a bit of a backbone as well, because that's hard work. A lot of people underestimate how difficult that working in the food industry can be. And working in the food. Listen, I know what I'm like when I'm hungry. So you do not want to see me when I'm hungry. If I'm hungry and I've got to sit and wait, no.
The wrong one comes out. The hunger does that.
And then, but then you, in the food industry, you've got to deal with all those people. So you've had a wealth of experience. It's incredible.
I'm really grateful. I'm humbled, So that's basically, after that, I worked at Celtel up to 2001. When I went full-time into Comlink, which is this company I co-founded with my colleague Chila Penza.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, that's the other co-founder. Unfortunately, we lost him 2 years ago. So it's also been sort of like a touchy period.
It must be. It's also very difficult when you lose someone integral to a business, and especially to try to fill those shoes
it's been it's one of those ones where so
I'm sorry to hear that.
basically, well, thank you so much, thank you. So basically our project right now is we are going full throttle because we are with the blockchain. So we have an exciting tokenization program. We have a very ambitious goal. We intend to become the biggest tokenization company on earth. That's
wow.
That's our goal. So I don't know if you know anything about tokenizing real world assets of the blockchain. Exactly. So looking at the background of what technology has done for Africa, we know that the blockchain technology will do the same. I'll give you an example.
I think it's going to be really, really interesting because I'm watching how technology is being used in Africa. And even in different parts of Africa, it's a little bit different, but they won't use technology the same way people in the UK and the US would use it. You guys find some truly innovative ways to use exactly the same thing. And you know what? You've also mastered that technique of doing the most with the least. So if, for instance, you don't have a fancy piece of equipment, you won't stop yourself. You'll MacGyver it. You'll make something. You'll make it work. You know, you won't just sit there and go, oh, well, I don't have this, so I can't do that. No, you'll figure it out. And I think that is so, so, so important for this next generation, because things are about to get really interesting.
Exactly.
It's going to get when Web3 becomes mainstream.
Yes.
That's going to be interesting.
Exactly. You see, when you look at we were excluded from the telecommunication revolution. When we look at the states who actually innovated the technology, Europe, in the 40s, it was normal to have a telephone in your house. By the time most of Africa was getting independent, 10, 20, even 30 years after independence, only corporates and, government officials and, the upper class and the middle class had access. But we all know that population demographic only represents a tiny fraction of the population. The majority of the population is the lower class. They had no access to telephones whatsoever. Speaking for this market, I love to manage with the force of facts. There was no telephone lines. So when mobile telephony came onto this market, still more, it was just the same. It was still, a lot of people were still excluded from the telecommunications revolution because the mobile phones that had come onto the market were analog, and it was the same. So only a few had access to them, but only this time it's mobile, but still more. It's only when Mo Ibrahim's Zamcell, Celtel, came into the Zambian market because it was GSM digital. That's when it democratized telecommunication. All of a sudden, the price of mobile phones, as a terminal equipment controller, I still remember what the price of phones were. The SEC models that first came onto the market, which were introduced by Zamtel, were about $1,500.
Wow.
$1,500. Yes. But when Zamcell started operations, the first 3 phones that we started with, we had the Nokia. It was going for $449.
Was that the long one?
No. It was like the small one.
Yes.
It was like the small one, yes.
Yeah.
The 5110. And then we had the Motorola D520. That was going for $349. Then we had the Ericsson GA628, which was going for $249. So you can imagine 15 to 449, 349, $249 even. But even just after about a year, $100 phones were available on the market. So all of a sudden, people had access to mobile phones.
But that must have been okay, I know this is really, I guess, a bit away from what today was supposed to be like, but now I really need to ask this question. Because you witnessed this firsthand, how did the democratization of cell phones, the access to mobile phones, how did that change Africa as a society? Like, what were the societal changes that happened there?
Socially, people were now able to communicate more freely, because a lot of Africans, owing to colonization, they had to move away from the rural areas to come into the cities, and because of the jobs and things like that. So even if you are living in the cities, you also want to communicate with your peers, the people you were with in the villages, your friends, the people you went to school with. It was still very difficult, but at least on the social basis, obviously, people were able to communicate. But I think the most positive impact on our societies is the economic one. Because a lot of people survive, they do these little businesses. The addition of mobile telephony to such a micro operation actually fostered a lot of value on these operations. Exactly. And now the mobile phone has become a medium of financial inclusion because of mobile money. You see, so all of a sudden, those who were totally excluded from telecoms were included. Those who were excluded from financial services, all of a sudden they're included, because up to 90% of the population, because if you have a mobile phone, you can send money, you can receive money, you can borrow, you can buy insurance, you can invest, and so on and so forth.
So how do you foresee this changing the way society is now? Because obviously this has made a huge change. Suddenly people can now communicate on a much more regular and on a more close-knit basis, but then it's given people access to different financial services. So how do you think this is going to impact the society out there in the next 10 to 15 years?
I think that's why we want to take advantage, because we can see what's going to happen. There's going to be more and more adoption of technology into all our operations. We are yet going to be at the leading edge of these innovations, as we have done with mobile money. Because like you said initially, why we make things work is because if we don't make them work, well, then we have a problem, because people have got no bank accounts. But they need to save money. They need to borrow money. They need to send money. They need to save money. They need to invest money. They need to buy insurance. They need to buy stuff online. But they don't have bank accounts. So how are they going to do that? Mobile money enables all of that. You understand? So that's what's going to happen. So we're going to see more and more. We're seeing technology, for instance, being infused into the agriculture sector, for example. You see a lot of even small scale
agri-tech. I mean, I could talk all day on agri-tech. Agri-tech is so cool.
It's fantastic.
The things that they do is I can't even explain it. Like I once saw there's like a machine that goes around the trunk of a fruit tree, and just shakes it, and all the fruit falls. And I'm like,
falls down. Wow.
It's like, really? You literally just shook the tree. You literally shook all the fruit off the tree with a machine.
That's wild.
Do you know how long it would have taken people to hand pick that? It literally did it in seconds. I was like, whoa, this is cool. Agri-tech is really cool.
So obviously there's the fear of losing jobs.
Yes.
But I don't think that threat, I think it's a perfect sweet dance
Yeah.
Because what's happening now is we need the tech to start to kickstart these industries. And these industries, if you look at, I'll give you a perfect example. I'll talk of something I'm very familiar with. Mobile money. Okay, mobile phones. Right now, mobile money has created an entire industry, especially for the youths. A lot of youths have got jobs, a lot because of mobile money. They work in the mobile money booths, which are these micro branches of the mobile money service providers. So these booths are agents, and then you can go to the booth and deposit, withdraw, and so on and so forth. So a lot of the youths, especially female youths, are the ones who are working in these booths.
Wow.
So yes, so we've been looking to start a project. So this is why I'm very excited to be on this podcast, because we're looking for partners on the international scale, globe, because we are seeing the positive impact that a technology such as mobile money, mobile phones and the subsequent mobile money has had. Look at the number of females who have got jobs. The female youths have got jobs working in the booths. So we want to carry out a study, because these youths, much as they've got jobs, they're also facing certain challenges. They face a lot of sexual harassment. They face there's security risks. My young girl Pamela. She went through a very disturbing incident. I actually even posted it on my Facebook page. These guys went to her. We want to deposit some money, this and that. When she completed the transaction, they just sped off, and then panicking, she held onto the car. It was crazy. She was going to die. We just thank God nothing happened, and she just ended up scratching her face and all that. So there are all these stories. So we want to bring them up to the core and see how we can graduate these young girls, because the technology keeps is evolving. So we also have to make sure that the youths are going up higher in the value chain.
Of course.
Yes.
Gosh, like there's so much to talk about. It's like across the African continent. Africa there's so much innovation happening there. There's so much to be done. There's so much work to be done there as well. I mean, I had a conversation this week with another female entrepreneur, and she's doing waste management out there. And she's talking about the fact that there's not the same kind of social systems that we have here in the UK. And it's even stuff like shelters and counseling and healthcare. It's really like what we would call basic stuff here in the UK. But I relate to that because, again, out in Trinidad, a lot of those services we didn't have. Now it's a lot better, and it's basically increased very quickly. They innovated very quickly out there, but it's still not anywhere near what it should be. Not for the kind of money that the country makes. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's delving into politics that I do not want to get into. Like,
I try to avoid politics. I love my tech so much, and this is why
I think what you're doing is so sorely needed in the region. Like, sorely needed. So how much time do you spend working on your business as opposed to in your business?
I think that's one of my weaknesses. I like to be too hands-on. I think I've learned now to sort of start to delegate, and properly just innovate. My job is really I think my job is to come up with these ideas and then see how, what we've been doing of late basically is to partner with partners, especially from Southeast Asia. India, Hong Kong, Singapore. We've got partners there. We've, the Singapore, even the Monetary Authority. So we try and see what type of solutions they have there and see how we can localize them here. Though the past 3 years has seen a lot of local capacity built up. So we're also looking at projects such as setting up tech hubs and partnering with tertiary institutions, especially, so that, because there are colleges, for instance, here in Zambia, there's a very nice colleges. They just need a little bit of help. So what we can do, if we can partner with a tech institution, say in the UK, in the States, in Singapore, in Hong Kong, for whatever, such that they invest in that institution, bring it up to a certain level. Zambia is a beautiful place for investments because we're surrounded by 8 neighbors. You see, we are we're geographically in the middle. And we're not a small country. We're a very big country, over 760,000 square meters. And we've got 8 neighbors. So if we're to set up an international tech institution, not even one, in fact,
it would be a good place for a hub. Yeah.
Yes. Then, a lot of these students from across the region can be coming to learn coding, robotics, blockchain, AI, IoT. I'm actually MIT certified, fintech, and I am Internet of Things. Yes. So we want to see that technology take root, because when the way mobile money and mobile phone telephony, what it has done for the continent, blockchain will do even much more. That's what we're so excited. Yes.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited for it. Like, as I said, when you get me started on like the new stuff, I'm like, yes, I cannot wait.
Yes.
I cannot wait for our legal system to be automated. I can foresee our legal and medical systems. The NHS is going to be.
It's all going to be
AI.
Yeah.
It's going to be so good, but it's just to get them to implement it. But so, if you had unlimited resources, what problem would you solve and why?
To be really honest, I've seen poverty. I've overseen poverty. And I think it's an affront for God's creation, like human beings, to live in poverty. It's just so wrong. And it's not right to call ourselves the most advanced species if we can allow children to die of hunger, children to die of preventable diseases. That's madness. That's proper madness. So if I had unlimited resources, I would wipe out poverty from the face of the earth. Totally wipe it out.
Yeah.
I would tell the big guys, I would show the big guys, I would innovate the big guys other ways of making unlimited profits. There are other ways of making unlimited profits. But this thing of keeping other humans to live a life of want, access to basic things like water.
Very basic things, yeah.
Very basic. It's very painful. So I think we've come to a place whereby we are so-called advanced. People can't live in poverty anymore. No one on the entire earth should live in poverty.
No. And it's sad to think, because Africa is so rich in resources. It's the richest continent on the planet.
It is.
With, if I'm not mistaken, one of the highest poverty rates.
Exactly.
It
doesn't make sense. And it's very easy to get rid of poverty. The problem with the poverty in Africa is it's not real poverty. I'll be very honest, I went to India. I went to, we spent some time in Mumbai. we saw poverty. That's real poverty.
Yeah.
The poverty
India is rough.
limited resources. The poverty that we have here is mental poverty. There's no way things grow freely. There's no way you can starve in Africa. You find a way to survive. So
it's that would be very similar to the Caribbean then.
Yeah, exactly. So I think our people's minds just need to be rewired to think properly, as opposed to like the way they
post-colonial syndrome.
Exactly. You got it.
Yep, that is a post-colonial syndrome, and that is what's happened across the Caribbean. And as you're telling me now, it is actually happening across Africa. So, it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, what has been the hardest thing about entrepreneurship for you? The most difficult thing?
The most difficult thing has been raising funds. That has been very, very difficult because we started seeing the future. So it's only now that our visions are now catching up with the times and with the markets. That what we saw 20 years ago, this is when they're now beginning to manifest. So it's only now that people are beginning to say, oh, wow, okay, maybe we can sit down. And because that time, people just didn't understand what we were on about. So these guys are dreaming of, how are you going to transact online? How are you going to pay on? How are you going to use mobile? It was, so that has been one of the challenging side of this journey. Though I think one characteristic of an entrepreneur is you never give up. Coño, you got to keep going on and on, man. I tell you, man.
And if you had to leave one parting gift of wisdom for the audience, what would that be?
If I had to
leave one parting gift of wisdom to the audience, what would that be?
I've got a very powerful message actually for the audience. LOVE, love. Let's begin to love. Humans, let's begin to love. Love is because we are really energy at our core. That's what we are. And we are vibrating at a certain frequency. So if we are in love, it means we'll be vibrating at the agreeable positive energy. We'll be pushing that positive energy. We'll be in sync with the energy from the sun, from the planets, from the galaxies, from the universe. We have to love. Love is the gravity of the spiritual world when we're spirit beings, because we're energetic, we're ethereal beings. So let's love. Let's stop this madness for once. So that's my message to the audience.
Thank you for that. That is it's simple, but it's very, very, very deep. And I think the world needs a lot of that right about now.
It's too much, man. I think we've really gone off tangent, and I think the quest for these material things has. Look at the world today. What's causing all these problems? I think it's because we're not. It's the greed, and
it's greed.
Yeah, it's the greed.
Yeah,
and the greed is driven by the want of material things. That's where the greed is coming from. But if we really become spiritual, then we'll love each other. Then we'll stop fighting, we'll stop killing children, we'll stop taking other people's things. We'll start valuing each other on an equal basis. And develop each other, mutually respect each other.
That's so important.
It is.
So important.
Yeah. It is.
Wow. That's like a really touching note. Very somber as well. All right. I just want to say thank you for coming on to the Entrepreneur Spotlight. It has been absolutely amazing to hear your story. And I think we are going to have another one, because we need to talk a whole lot more about technology. And I think that's going to be in one of our tech podcasts. So I cannot wait for it. And I'm so excited. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
And thank you so much for giving me the platform and for inviting me. And I am looking so forward for the next ones. We can share some more about what's happening down here. Yeah, peace.